Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged and delighted to welcome an absolutely incredible human being who's achieved a lot in media. I've got him on the other side of the camera today, Mr. Oleg Volkosh. Oleg is also a fellow member of the YPO. Oleg, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. First of all, it's a great pleasure, and I'm really honored to be here, and always great to discuss with you. And again, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Oleg. Oleg is the president of Mediaplus Group in Russia. He's the founder and CEO of Channel 31, TV and radio company in Kazakhstan. In 2011, he was recognized as the Person of the Year for contribution to the development of the advertising industry. And as I mentioned earlier, he's a member of the YPO, which is an organization he and I love very much. So Oleg, let's talk about the Mediaplus Group. Tell me about the work that you do in your group.
I'd like to start, Ashutosh, maybe with our, entrepreneurship experience here in Russia.
Okay.
Because to work in the media, and especially in advertising, it's everywhere. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of challenges as well.
Okay.
So my original company in Russia was established, not even in Russia, it was established in the Soviet Union time. It was 1989, when three students, Russian students, IT guys, founded the first advertising agency in my country with the name Media Arts.
Okay.
And since that time, since 1989, we were growing as a local advertising integrated groups. Integrated meaning that we were trying to do everything.
Correct.
Which give us the profit, but also which give us the clients. We started with the production, then we moved to the creative, then we moved to the media. Of course, after the internet started booming, we established our digital agency, etc., etc. And we realized very soon, fortunately, we realized that to be successful in the advertising, it means to be global. Global, not just in terms of the geographical coverage of your company, but more in terms of your experience exchange, connection with the people, connection with the experience globally. Because marketing, one of the industry which is really needs to be global. That is why since 1994 we signed the agreement with one of the best agency from United States with FCB, Food Con Building. And since that time we were affiliated agency. Media Arts was affiliated with Food Con Building here in Russia to represent their clients, but also to work with their technology, tools, etc.
Okay.
But afterwards, we realized that we need to grow. We need to grow more, and we need to be more international. That's why in 2014, exactly after Russian Olympics, we met with a German communication group, which is Service Plan, the biggest actually independent group in Europe in the advertising area. And we realized that in terms of the structure, in terms of the values, and in terms of the strategy, we are very close to each other. And we did one of the quite unique deals here in Russia. We sold out 51% of our Media Arts group. For that time, it was already one of the biggest local groups, and we became a partners with the German group Service Plan. It's how Mediaplus was established, because Media Arts was our local brand, but Mediaplus, it's an international brand, belongs to the Service Plan group. As I mentioned, the group originally was from Germany, but now we together covering more than 50 countries, including China, including Emirates, including United States, of course, all European countries. And we are very, not just proud, but we are very, very grateful to work as a one global entrepreneurship team in the advertising as a Mediaplus.
How wonderful. Amazing. So given all the experience you have, what is your perspective of building a brand from an advertiser's perspective?
That is one of my favorite questions, maybe, because it's not because the mission of our group, of our international group, Mediaplus, together with Service Plan, this is the mission of building the best brands. But what does it mean, best brand? How we can measure it, how we can compare one brand with each other? So that questions was appeared a long time ago. And what we created to have an answer for this question, what we created as a group, we created one of the unique competition or award which called Best Brands. And the Best Brands became international competition and became international award for the brands since 2005, I believe.
Okay.
What is the differentiation or what is the uniqueness of the best brands? Because you know better than me, it's a lot of awards, a lot of things when brands getting some awards, prizes, etc. Our uniqueness, it's about, first of all, we don't have any group of people who can influence on the result. And in other words, we don't have a jury. And we're working with the GfK, with the research company GfK internationally, to provide us with the special order data to identify the best brands for the country. What GfK is doing, they are actually combining together two data. The first, it's what we call hard data. It's about the market share. It's about your sales volume as a brand, because we believe that it's a part of the mind of the humans who are voting for the brand by the cash or by the credit card, right? But the second part, which is also quite unique, and I believe that it was absolutely right decision, we're combining the hard sales data together with the data which we called soul data or hard data. It's what people are saying about the brands. It's what you remember. It was 20 years ago. It's what called it was called like love marks or love brands. It's what people feeling about these brands. And we believe in the Service Plan Group that only combining these data together, we can identify the best brand for this region or for this country. Maybe this is the long answer to your
no, but this is fantastic.
Yes, but we are very proud to provide with this data all markets where we are working, right? And Russia started with the best brands just 3 years ago. It was very new for the market. Nobody know what is the reason to start the new competition between brands. But now, and thanks to the partnership with the GfK, we are saying that, guys, in our competition, only people can choose the best brands based on their mind and based on their soul. So that is our answer to it.
Fair enough. And when you look back from the 1989, as a young engineer, as you said, started to 2021, how have you seen advertising change?
Ashutosh, and we discussed it together with you. I really believe in the concept of the past lives.
Correct.
And I'm working with it as a tool for the self-development, right? But this is another story. Correct. What I'm trying to say that when I start to remind the 90s as our starting point for the advertising, sometimes I'm feeling that it was a past life. It was not existing life because everything changed, Ashutosh. Everything has changed. I even cannot prove that something, maybe only one thing staying in the same condition, how it's important to have an open, transparent partnership relationship with the clients. It's only one thing which is forever.
Right.
But in terms of the processing, technology, approaches, I don't know, even creative changed a lot since that time. And to be more precise, I can say that the existing reality of the marketing, it's more about personification of the messages, because before, in our past life, we were happy to provide the clients with the communication to the target groups. Okay, females, 25-45 age, living in Siberia. That's it. That was our typical. It was a very good approach. Sometimes it's even worked. Nobody knows actually. But now we have to make this communication exactly to the Ashutosh Garg, to know where you are living, to know what is the content interesting for you, to know what is the brands in your portfolio, etc., etc. So this personification, it's not just about how we are approaching these campaigns for clients. It's more about the technology. It's always about the data. That is the biggest change which influence on the whole area: production, creative, media planning, even media buying working differently. That is the global change which happened.
Very interesting. So you have given me the cue for my next question, and that is that how is technology changing advertising?
Recently, 1 year ago, we were very honored to host here in Moscow as a main speaker for Best Brand Award, Neil Sahota.
Yeah.
You know him as well.
Yes,
that it's the member of our advisory board for the YPO Impact. But Neil, it's amazing visionary. That is why he wrote one of the best book about the artificial intelligence, which called Artificial Intelligence Revolution. And Neil was amazing speaker for the best brands, for the Russian audience, etc. But then we had a quite deep discussion exactly about your question. How technology changing or influencing or impacting the advertising and marketing, etc. And Neil told me one of the very interesting vision, even not for now, but for the near future. He told me that the data will be deeper and deeper in terms of understanding of the personality. Even, which I was surprised, even all these laws or restrictions in terms of your personal data will be changed. Sooner or later, I don't know, the government will be tired to protect your personal data, or people will be more open. So in other words, Ashutosh, it will be the data when we know what you are talking, you know what you are reading, you know, we know what you are watching. But the biggest challenge for us to get this data will be what we can do after this. In other words, how we can use this information through the technology. It's just about technology, Ashutosh.
Right.
We are, as a human beings, we just don't know what to do with it without the tools, right? That is why I believe that this deeper development of the personal data in terms of the usage for the brands or for the products communication, that is the main area for the technology and artificial intelligence. But back to back to today, what for us now, it's and for me personally, what is the main interesting area, that is the content in the social media. Because you know better than me that social media became as a really strong media already a long time ago. In Russia, you can find 99 million users of the social medias. We are quite different in terms of landscape of social medias, and Facebook is just number 3 in Russia, right? We have our own local social networks like VK or Classmates, Odnoklassniki, which is quite bigger, but this is another conversation. What I'm trying to say, Ashutosh, that when social media appeared, we as a marketeers or as a media guys, we received not just the way how to communicate with the people. It's okay, but what is more important for us, we received the opportunity to listen, to understand the insights of our audiences, right? Because I came to the advertising from media and from research. To be one of the founder of Gallup Media and to be one of the partners of TNS here in Russia, I still remember that to get the proper insight from the focus group, that is always the challenge, right? It looks okay, but people start to lie, people start to say something which is not relevant, but they are competing with each other. They're sitting together, and we are human beings, right? We are trying to be better, especially when the interviewing by this focus group moderator. So to make long story short, they're analyzing and to get the insights from the social media content. That is one of the top technology which we are using right now here in Russia, which is quite advanced in comparison what our guys having in Europe. And this is the great insight instrument, but also that is very helpful for the communication back to the communication to the social media. That is our technology situation.
Fascinating. So another question from another perspective. When I was much younger and looking at advertising, we used to have, billboards, newspaper, print, television, and movies. Today, the platforms have almost changed completely to the handheld devices. As an advertising person, how have you adjusted to the customer expecting to see all his advertising, all her advertising on a handheld device?
It's very big question actually for me, Ashutosh, because what I believe that yes, we as a human beings and as a managers or the founders of the company, we personally need to be open for this transformation when we have to use the new medias in the same way how our customers using the same media. Otherwise, it will be not a conversation, right? It will be just old perspective or new perspective, etc., etc. But what I really believe and what we are doing in our company, I believe that only the new generation of the advertising guys and the marketing guys, they doing much better job for the clients in comparison with myself, for example. That's why our role, I mean, maybe it's always the role for the leaders or for the founders.
Correct.
Give them the support, education, and perspectives in this business instead of to be better than they are. if it makes sense. So in other words, I strongly believe that only to be absolutely fluent or absolutely natural with this new environment, you can be successful using the technology, using the tools, but only to be in this environment you can be successful and efficient for your clients. But at the same time, you mentioned a few very old school media, right? Especially TV or even outdoors. But we now have a big transformation for them as well, because TV, it's not about the LG or Samsung TV screen on the wall, right? It's also changed a lot, and I see how in Europe and in Russia, our main TV owners, they are doing a lot of new digital platforms. They trying to be more relevant for the young audience group with the mobile usage, etc. Same happening with the outdoor, because here in Russia, our main supplier of outdoor, they are doing a lot of development for the digital boards, and you can measure it, you can measure the audience, you can plan in advance these campaigns, etc. I'm saying that it's not just about the internet, right? It's also about the traditional media with the huge challenge of transformation.
Correct. But one more question before I move to the next segment. Earlier, from an advertising perspective, you used to have time, whether it was 60 seconds or 30 seconds. Now I'm seeing communication is being done in 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. How are you adjusting the thinking of your creative people to be able to communicate in such a short span?
Your great question reminds me our longest commercial, which was used for the vodka Smirnoff. That period of time, vodka was allowed to be on TV, and the idea, it was 2005 actually, not so long time ago, but it was a 60 seconds which was produced as a movie, as a trailer of the movie, and we keep this style, we keep this flavor of the movie blockbuster promotions, but move it to the vodka brand Smirnoff, and it was the best campaign in Russia. I mean, it was recognized, one of the best campaigns. So now it's totally new era.
Yeah.
And honestly, Ashutosh, I think that yes, the world and the universe became faster and faster, and no one would be interested to see 30 seconds of the commercial, even it was done very nicely with the huge money, because we don't have time, right? We always need to speed up. That is why the proper answer to your question would be about the new generation of the advertising, of the new advertising generation, I would say, because again, it's very important to be in line, to be natural, to be absolutely involved in this new generation consumption of the media. So that is why, yes, we need to transform as well. We need to work as a humans or as a professionals, how we're changing our minds, how we're getting the new skills, etc. But for me, my main role is how I can help the young generation to get our experience, but also to develop their own skills with this 10 seconds, 5 seconds TikTok type of the promotion. I'm not saying that we are out of the industry, but I'm saying that we need to prepare this way or this road for the young generation. That is the most efficient.
Very well said. Great explanation. So Oleg, I'm now going to move to the next segment. I have time for 2 or 3 more questions. My viewers and listeners love to get to know my guest a little more. So these are a few questions for you. So my next question is that in a life that started so early, soon out of college, and having achieved so much success, and now part of a global organization, what does success mean to Oleg?
Thank you for this question, because for me it's always important to relax a little bit and to think about this important questions in my life as well. And I can say, Ashutosh, that for me the success right now, it's maybe it's about 2 things. First of all, to be more present and to stay right here, right now, instead of to live in the past or dreaming about the future. Yes, I have a lot of dreams, I have a lot of plans. My company have a proved strategy, but for me it's success when I can stay here with Ashutosh, enjoying our conversation, getting some memories or some ideas, because you are a very inspiring person and leader for me. That is the success. That is the success for me, to stay right here, right now. And at the same time, to stay right here and right now, for me, it's also about, I don't know how to say exactly, it's about the balance and the harmony, but harmony, it's a very big word. For me, it's more about the balance between professional career and the personal development, between YPO, when you and me volunteering to do this world better, and the support of my employees. And this is a very difficult, honestly, because I'm very, how to say, emotional person maybe, and sometimes I just focus on one part of this really different, important, and very big picture. And for me to be balanced with all what you are doing, with my mission, with my targets in the business, with my strategy for the company, with my how to say, investing to the YPO. That is the success right now.
And my last question to you, and this Oleg is for thousands of people who will listen to our conversation. What is your advice to a young entrepreneur who's starting off on her or his journey?
The first feedback in my mind, it's about that in the YPO, especially in the forums, we have a very strong rule: don't give any advices to each other, right? What we can do, just sharing our experience. But back to your question, actually, what I'm always believe and what I'm always trying to be best, it's about the self-transformation. For me, the main rule was never stop. And I believe that it's for the millions of entrepreneurs in the world, that it's one of the key for success. Never stop, never be good enough, never be, of course, we need to have a time to celebrate, to relax, to meditate, etc. But what I'm trying to say, to move forward, you have to move. Otherwise, it will be just the first step, but you potentially can have another 15 steps, right? And never stop, always move, and do whatever you can do for your self-growth, for your self-transformation, and sharing with the people. That's big
Wonderful.
story.
Wonderful. Oleg, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking me through your incredible journey from the time you started in '89 to the media giant that you have become today. Good luck and all the best.
Thanks a lot, Ashutosh. And I really respect and I really like what you are doing as also the new media content provider. That it's your amazing project. I wish you big success with it and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.